Hello students, in this session I will be covering Annamalai University's Master of Commerce first year's subject HRM. In this session I will be covering unit 5, that is lesson 17 to lesson 20. This is the last unit of human resource management subject. Okay. Now lesson 17, transfers. What do you mean by transfer? Organization resort to internal mobility of employees in order to place the right employee in the right job. This type of mobility, which is restricted to movement of an employee from one job to another in the same level of organizational hierarchy, is termed as transfer. Okay. So transfer is defined as a lateral shift, that means horizontal shift. Okay, not a vertical shift. Lateral shift is nothing but horizontal shift. A lateral shift causing movement of employees or individuals from one position to another, usually without involving any marked change in duties, responsibilities, skills needed to compensation. So it's called as transfer. It's a horizontal movement of individuals, that means employees from one position to another position. In other words, transfer is viewed as a change in assignment in which employee moves from one job to another in the same level meaning horizontal movement of hierarchy, requiring similar skill, involving approximately same level of responsibility, same status and same level of pay. Promotion is upward movement, that means upward reassignment of a job. Demotion is a downward job or reassignment, whereas transfer is a lateral or horizontal job reassignment. Objectives. Organization resort to transfers with a view to attain the following purposes: to meet organization requirements, to satisfy the employee needs, to utilize employee skill, knowledge, etc. where they are more suitable or badly needed, to improve employees' professional background, to correct interpersonal conflicts, to adjust the workforce of one section or plant in another section plant during layoff or closure or adverse business conditions, to give relief to employees who are overburdened or doing complicated or risky work for long period, to punish the employees who violate the disciplinary rules, to help the employees whose working hours or place of work is inconvenient to them, to minimize scope for fraud, bribe, etc., which results due to permanent stay and contact of an employee with customers, dealers, suppliers, etc. So these are the objectives of transfer. Types of transfer: production transfer, replacement transfer, rotation transfer, shift transfer, remedial transfer, penal transfer, etc. Okay. Problems of transfer: adjustment problems to the employee to the new job, place, environment, superior and colleagues. Transfers one place to another cause much inconvenience and cost relating to housing, education to children, etc. to the employee and his family members. Transfers from one place to another result in loss of man days. Company initiated transfers result in reduction in employee contribution. Discriminatory transfers affect employee morale, job satisfaction, commitment and contribution. So these are the problems. So you can expect a question: what do you mean by transfer? What are its objectives? Or what do you mean by transfer? Explain the problems of transfer. You can get a question. Or what are the different types of? Explain the different types of transfer. You can get a question from this area. Okay. Now transfer policy. Specification of circumstances under which an employee will be transferred in the case of company initiated transfer. So there should be a policy, systematic transfer policy available in the organization. Specification of a supervisor who is authorized and responsible to initiate a transfer. Jobs from and to which transfers will be made based on the job specification. The region or unit of the organization within which transfers will be administered. Reasons which will be considered acceptable for employee initiated transfers. Reasons considered acceptable for mutual transfer of employees. Norms to decide priority when two or more employees request for transfer. Specification of basis for transfer like job analysis, merit, length of service, etc. Specification of pay, allowances, benefits, etc. They are to be allowed to the employee in the job. Other facilities to be extended to the transferee like special leave during the period of transfer, special allowance for packaging, luggage, transportation, etc. So these are the transfer policy guidelines that should be included in the transfer policy. So these are things covered in lesson 17. Now lesson 18, promotion. When there are vacancies in an organization, they can be filled up by the internal employees. That means existing employees of the organization or external candidates. Though the organization may prefer to fill up the vacancies by the external candidates through the selection procedure, the internal candidates may also apply for the post and may be tested and selected for higher level job in the organizational hierarchy at par with external candidates. Okay. So according to Paul Piggers and Charles A. Myers, promotion is advancement of an employee to a better job. Better in terms of greater responsibility, more prestige or status, greater skill, and especially increased rate of pay or salary. Promotion versus upgradation. Managements can motivate the employees for higher productivity through promotions, but it may not be possible for the management to promote all employees due to limited vacancies at the higher level. Its management uses another technique to motivate employees: upgradation of the job. Paul Piggers and Charles A. Myers view upgradation as small scale promotion. But upgradation is not promotion of an employee, it is elevating the place of the job in the organizational hierarchy or including the job in higher grade. Now, purpose of promotion: to utilize the employee skills, knowledge at the appropriate level in the organizational hierarchy, resulting in organizational effectiveness and employee satisfaction. To develop competitive spirit and inculcate the zeal in the employees to acquire the skill, knowledge, etc. required by higher level employees or higher level jobs. To develop an internal source of an employees ready to take up jobs at higher levels in the changing environment. To promote employees self-development. To promote a feeling of contentment. To promote interest in training, development programs and in team development areas. To build loyalty and to boost morale of the employees. To reward committed and loyal employees. To get rid of the problems created by the leaders of workers' unions by promoting them to officers level where they are less effective in creating problems. So these are the purpose of promotion. You may get a question: what do you mean by promotion? What are the purpose of promotion? Okay, from this area. Problems with promotion. Promotion disappoints some employees. So problems can cause problems to some employees. Promotion can disappoint some employees. So promotion can cause problems to some other employees, not the promoted employee, but other employees who are jealous in getting promotion for an employee. Some employees refuse promotion. So a promoted employee can refuse promotion also due to various factors. So that is also an issue. So before you promote an employee, you need to address him with the promotion criteria and his selection. Okay. And there should be a promotion policy available within the organization which clearly defines what are the contents of promotion. Okay, contents of promotion policy: percentage of vacancies to be filled by promotions, the basis of promotion, merit, seniority or merit cum seniority, the norms to judge merit, the weightages to be given for merit and seniority, other criteria to be taken into consideration, the groups of jobs with same job requirements, establishment of clear-cut promotional channels, necessary qualifications, level of performance on the present job, level of potentialities, etc. Mode of acquiring the new skills, knowledge and facilities offered by the organization. Promotion policy should also contain alternatives to promotion when deserving candidates are not promoted due to lack of vacancies at higher level. So these are the things covered in lesson 18, promotion. You may get a question, what do you mean by promotion, what are its objectives, what should be the content of promotion policy, etc. Okay. Now to lesson 19, demotion and discipline. Okay. The need for demotions. Demotions are necessary for the following reasons: unsuitability of the employee to higher level jobs. The employee cannot be promoted to higher level due to lack of his abilities. Okay, employees are promoted based on seniority and past performance, but some of the employee promoted on those basis may not meet the job requirements of the higher level job. Adverse business conditions. Generally, adverse business conditions force the organization to reduce quantity of production, withdrawal of some lines of products, closure of certain departments or plants, etc. New technology and new methods of operation demand new and higher level skills. If the existing employees do not develop themselves to meet those requirements, organizations demote them to the lower level jobs. Employees are demoted on disciplinary grounds. This is one of the extreme steps, and as such, organizations rarely use this measure. Though the demotion seems to the symbol, it adversely affects the employee morale, job satisfaction, etc., as it reduces employee status not only in the organization but also in the society, in addition to deduction in responsibility, authority and pay. And there should be a systematic demotion policy. So what do you mean by demotion policy? So there should be some systematic demotion policy in the organization. Specification of circumstances under which an employee will be demoted, like reduction in operations, in disciplinary cases, etc. Specification of a superior who is authorized and responsible to initiate a demotion. Jobs from to which demotions will be made and specifications of lines or ladders of demotion. Specification of basis for demotion like length of service, merit or both. It should provide for open policy rather than a closed policy. It should contain clear-cut norms for judging merit and length of service. Specification of provisions regarding placing the demoted employees in their original places if the normal conditions are restored. Specification of nature of demotion, that is whether it is permanent or temporary disciplinary action. Discipline. Maintenance of harmonious human relations in an organization depends upon his promotion and maintenance of discipline. No organization can prosper without discipline. Discipline has been a matter of utmost concern for all organizations. Meaning, discipline refers to a condition or attitude prevailing among the employees with respect to rules and regulations of an organization. Discipline in the broadest sense means orderliness, the opposite of confusion. Discipline is defined as a force that prompts individuals or groups to observe the rules, regulations and procedures which are deemed to be necessary for the effective functioning of an organization. Positive and negative aspects of discipline. Positive aspect. Employees believe in and support discipline and adhere to the rules, regulations, and desired standards of behavior. Discipline takes the form of positive support and the reinforcement of for approved actions, and its aim is to help the individual in molding his behavior and developing him in a corrective and supportive manner. Negative aspects. Employees sometimes do not believe in and support discipline. As much such, they do not adhere to rules, regulations, and desired standard of behavior. So these are the things of negative in nature regarding discipline. But discipline is absolutely necessary in an organization to bring in orderliness to the environment. Okay. Causes of indiscipline. Indiscipline means in disorderliness, so insubordination and not following the rules and regulations of an organization. Disciplinary procedure. Issuing of charge sheet to the employee, calling upon him for explanation. So employee will be called for an explanation by issuing a charge sheet. Charge sheet is a written document from the employer to the employee, or the supervisor to the employee, or the manager to the employee, manager to the subordinate. Consideration of the explanation. When the litigant employee admits unconditional about his misconduct, there is no need for conducting any inquiry further. Shock cause notice. In the shock cause notice, the employer provides another chance to the employee to explain his conduct and rebut the charges made against him. Holding a full-fledged inquiry. So inquiry will be conducted on the indisciplined situation created by the employee. Considering the inquiry proceedings and findings and making final order of punishment. Okay. After the inquiry is done, there will be a final punishment situation will be made. So a final order will be of punishment will be made by the disciplinary committee. Follow up. After taking disciplinary action, there should be proper follow up. The disciplinary action should not make the employee repeat his mistake. Intervention by a tribunal. When there is a want of good faith, when there is a victimization or unfair labor practices are used, when management has been guilty to a basic error or violation of a principle of natural justice, and when the findings are baseless and perverse. So types of punishment: oral warning, written warnings, loss of privileges and fines, punitive suspension, withholding of increments, demotion, termination, etc. Okay, these are the punishments given basis of disciplinary action. Okay, these are the things covered in lesson 19, demotion and discipline. Now to lesson 20, compensation. Compensation is the pay given to the employee. Okay, payment for the period of work. Okay, one of the most important factors in human resource management is compensation management. The soundness of compensation management depends upon the amount of wage or salary paid to an employee for a fair day's work. Despite the conclusions of morale studies, wage or salary is significant to most of the employees, as it constitutes a major share of their income. Terminology and concepts. What is wage? Wage and salary administration. Wage and salary administration is essentially the application of a systematic approach to the problems of ensuring that employees are paid in a logical, equitable and fair manner. Wage and salary are often discussed in loose sense as they are used interchangeably, but ILO is nothing but Indian Labour Organization or International Labour Organization. Not Indian, it's International Labour Organization. Define the term wage as the remuneration paid by the employer for the services of hourly, daily, weekly and fortnightly employees. It also means that remuneration paid to production and maintenance of blue collar employees. Salary. The term salary is defined as a remuneration paid to the clerical and managerial personnel employed on monthly or annual basis. Okay, so these are the difference between wage and salary. Okay. Now, to objectives of compensation function: to acquire qualified and competent personnel. To get a qualified, skilled person, we have to pay wages or salaries. To retain the present employee is to secure internal and external equity. Equity means same, one and the same. Okay. To ensure desired behavior. To keep labor and administrative costs in line with the ability of the organization to pay. To project in public as progressive employer. To pay according to the content and difficulty of the job. To facilitate payroll administration of budgeting and wage and salary control. To simplify collective bargaining procedures and negotiations. To promote organization feasibility. So these are the things regarding objectives of compensation. You may get a question: what do you mean by compensation? What are its objectives? Okay. Principles of compensation. Wage, salary plan and policies should be sufficiently flexible. Job evaluation must be done scientifically. Wage and salary administration plan must always be consistent with overall organizational plans and programs. Wage and salary administration plans and programs should be in conformity with the social and economic objectives of the country. Wage and salary administration plans and programs should be responsive to the changing local and national conditions. These plans should simplify and expedite other administrative processes. So these are the things regarding principles of wage and salary administration. Okay, and there are various benefits and employee services available regarding fringe benefits, allowances, etc. Okay, employee security, safety, health, etc. of the employees are concerned with the compensation given by the employer to or the organization to its employees. So these are the things covered in lesson 20, the last lesson of Master of Commerce Human Resource Management. Happy learning. Thank you. All the best.